As we've mentioned before, entanglement is a key component in many quantum algorithms and communication protocols. Entanglement shows up in many different ways, but there are a few very prominent types of entangled states worth mentioning. In particular, we will often come across what are known as Bell states and GHZ states. So let's take a look. Let's start by recalling that what makes entangled states different from separable states is that they cannot be expressed as the tensor product of separate states that represent each of the qubits of our system. So for example, in the case of a 2-qubit system, we could have a separable state of the form state plus tensor state plus, which we know is separable because we have just a single tensor product for two separate states representing each of our qubits, which we can also represent as 1 over root 2, 0 plus 1, tensor with 1 over root 2, 0 plus 1. Now we can also distribute this to express this as 1 over 2, 0, 0 plus 0, 1 plus 1, 0 plus 1, 1. Now on the other hand, an entangled state will be something of the form 1 over root 2, 0, 0 plus 1, 1. And this is entangled because we cannot express this as a single tensor product of states that represent each of the separate qubits. Instead, what we have is a sum of tensor products between the qubits of our system. So here, remember, 0, 0 is 0 tensor 0, and this is 1 tensor 1. Now, an important property of entangled states is that they lead to correlations in the results that we measured between the different parts of our system. So for example, in the case of this separable state, if we measure a 0 in the first qubit to the left, this can happen in one of two ways. We either measure state 0, 0, or we measure state 0, 1. And since our probability amplitudes here are equal, that means that measuring a 0 on the first qubit is completely irrelevant to what we will measure in the second qubit. We can measure either 0 or 1 with equal likelihood. So there's absolutely no correlation between what's happening in these two parts of the system. On the other hand, for the case of our entangled state, we are guaranteed that if we measure a 0 in this first qubit to the left, we will for sure measure a 0 in that second qubit. Similarly, if we measure a 1, we are guaranteed we'll measure 1. So there's a strong correlation between the two parts of our system. Now in general, for this 2-qubit example, we can express any state as the sum of all the basis states of our system. So we have alpha 0, 0, 0 plus alpha 1, 0, 1, alpha 2, 1, 0, alpha 3, 1, 1. And here you can see that this state represent each of these two cases. In the case of the separable state, all of our alphas are equal to 1/2. In the case of our entangled state, alpha 0 and alpha 3 are equal to 1 over 2, and alpha 1 and alpha 2 are equal to 0. But we can imagine situations in which alpha 1 and alpha 2 are not necessarily equal to alpha 0 and alpha 3, but they're not 0 either. In those situations, we still have an entangled state, but the correlations are weaker. So what this means is that entanglement is not a binary property. We could have different levels of entanglement in a system. Now, in the case of the example here above, where we have perfect correlations between what we measure in one of the qubits and the other, we have what is known as a maximally entangled state. Now, an important class of maximally entangled states are the Bell states. The Bell states are named after John Stuart Bell and consist of the following four maximally entangled states. So we have state phi plus, which is 1 over 2, 0, 0 plus 1, 1, which is a state we've seen before. We have phi minus, which is similar, just with a minus sign, so 0, 0 minus 1, 1. We have state psi plus, which is 1 over root 2, 0, 1 plus 1, 0. And we have state psi minus, which is 1 over root 2, 0, 1 minus 1, 0. And to generate these four Bell states, we use what is known as the Bell circuit, which we've seen before is a Hadamard gate, followed by a CX gate between two qubits. And each of these four states is generated by changing the input state to be either 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. And an important property of these states is that they actually form a basis. So we can represent any other 2-qubit states as superpositions of the Bell states. So we can say that phi plus, phi minus, psi plus, and psi minus are an orthonormal basis. And what this Bell circuit does is a transformation from the computational basis to the Bell basis. Now we could go back to our computational basis by using the inverse of the circuit. So if we call this U transformed from the computational basis to the Bell basis, and U dagger takes us back. So let's now go to Qiskit and show that with this simple circuit, we can actually generate these 4 Bell states. So we're going to import the quantum circuit class and the state vector class. And here we're going to just create our quantum circuit with Hadamard gate and CX gate. And recall that since Qiskit always initializes our qubits in state 0, well, this is going to generate state phi plus, which is 1/2, 0, 0, plus 1, 1. And we can take a look at that just passing our quantum circuit to a state vector. So let's name this phi plus and display that. Now we can change the input state of these 2 qubits by adding just an X gate to, for example, qubit 0. And this is actually going to take us to state psi plus. So let's now take this and replace it with psi. And here we have 0, 1 plus 1, 0. Now if we add our X gate to qubit 1, that's going to take us to state phi minus. And lastly, if we add X gates to qubit 1 and qubit 0, that will take us to psi minus. So let's go back here, and to make sure that this correspondence is correct, let's replace this 2. So here we have psi plus, so that it corresponds to the correct state in the computational basis, and here phi minus. Now, as we said before, we could represent any 2-qubit state as a superposition of these 4 Bell states because they form a basis. So a trivial example would be state 0, 0, which we can see here that if we take state phi plus and add it with state phi minus, well, this 1, 1 state will cancel out. And then we obviously have to weight them with the right probability amplitude. So if we take 1/2 phi plus 1/2 phi minus, that will give us the correct state. But we can do this for any arbitrary state we want. Now, the next set of states worth mentioning are, to some extent, a generalization of the phi plus state, and are what are known as Greenberger, Horn, and Seilinger states, or GHZ states. So a GHZ state, let's call it omega, you will sometimes see this label as GHZ inside Ket notation, but for simplicity, let's just name it omega, is equal to 1/2 state 0 tensored n times plus state 1 tensored n times. So if, for example, n is equal to 3, we'll have the state 1/2 0, 0, 0 plus 1, 1, 1. So as you can see, this is very similar to the phi plus state, just for more than 2 qubits. And the way we would generate that state is very similar to what we do with the Bell states. We take a generalization of this Bell circuit, so we put in superposition one of our qubits and apply CX gates between that qubit and the other qubits we want to entangle. Now, technically speaking, GHZ states were the name assigned only for the case where n is equal to 3, so for 3 qubits. This general case, for n qubits, you will sometimes see it referred to as a cat state, as in Schrodinger's cat, where you can think of having many qubits represented a macro state that can be in one of 2 states, either dead or alive. But referring to this general version for n qubits as a GHZ state has become also fairly standard. Now let's take a look in Qiskit how we can generate a function that, given a number n, returns the circuit that generates a GHZ state. So let's define a function, let's call it GHZ, that takes as an input a value n, which will be our number of qubits. Then we can create a quantum circuit with n qubits, of course, where we would apply a Hadamard gate to the most significant qubit, which, since we start counting from qubit equal to 0, will be qubit n minus 1. And then we can generate a for loop that would iterate over the remaining qubits of the system, the ones without the Hadamard gate, and applies a CX gate between them. Now, because we need to go from the most significant bit to the least significant bit, we can use this reversed function in Python to make our value of I go from n-2 all the way down to 0. So then we can apply a CX gate between our most significant qubit and the ith qubit. And then we can return our quantum circuit. So now let's generate a generic quantum circuit for, let's say, 4 qubits. We can now draw that. And here we see that we have a Hadamard gate and CX gates between the remaining qubits. Now if we take a state vector and pass that quantum circuit, it should generate a GHZ state for 4 qubits. Now, it is worth mentioning that generating these GHZ states using this particular circuit can be problematic in certain hardware architectures, because this assumes that we have connectivity from the most significant qubit to all the qubits in the system, which is not the case for example, superconducting qubit processors. So there are other different ways in which you can generate GHZ states, which you can find in the website under the quantum building blocks section. And there I discuss a few different ways in which you can generate these states. Now, Bell states and GHZ states are probably the entangled states we will encounter the most, but we'll run across into some other special types of entangled states, like for example, W states. So a W state is a state of the form 1 over square root of 3, state 001 plus 010 plus 100. So as you can see, it's a state where we only have one of our qubits equal to 1. And these states can also be generalized to n qubits. So we have 1 over square root of n, where we have the sum from I going from 0 to n minus 1 of the state 2 to the I. So for example, if we had n equal to 4, we'll have the state 1 over root 4 of 2 to the 0, which is 1, plus 2 to the 1, which is 2, plus 2 to the 2, which is 4, plus 2 to the 3, which is 8. And of course, this integers inside our ket, or really the node, is the binary representation of those numbers. So what we have is state 0001, 0010, 0100, and 1000. Now the circuit to generate these states is quite involved. So if you go to the course website, you can see a snippet of code on how to do this and a link to a separate notebook where I describe step by step how that circuit works. And we will of course discuss in which scenarios W states are of importance in future videos when we discuss different quantum communication protocols where these states could be advantageous. So that's it for this video, and what we'll do in the future is now take these states that we presented here and put them in practice into some communication protocols or quantum algorithms.